What's up, everyone? Joe Gray here today with another GGC live stream. Today, I am joined by my dude, Chris from Mutant Metals. I will let him introduce himself in just a second. Today is day technically 4 of Prize Week for the GGC, day 3 of live streams because I take Tuesdays off. We are going to do 2 live announcements today during the show. First one we'll kick off right now, which is for Chris's prize from Mutant Metals. Let me change up our screen a little bit, and we're going to bring up our winner. Let me check my spreadsheet so I know who I'm talking about. All right, I got it. Hey, our winner for Chris's prize today is... No, that's not the right one. Oh, wrong folder. Prize day 3, that's the right prize, is Zachary from YouTube. So we watched Zachary's list a couple of times in the last 2 weeks. We actually went through his list for some feedback in week 1. He made it into the top 10 most RPE lifter submissions as well last week with this pretty intense bench. So let's take a look at his lifts. Chris is experienced powerlifter himself, so he's going to be able to chime in a little bit on some technique and whatnot and see if we can help our lifters add a few more pounds to the lifts as well. It was like a 460 bench or something, and I think he deadlifts like 470 and squats like 470. Pretty easy peasy dead there. Buried that squat. Oh, froze on me. It's looking like he's doing it without a belt. He's got nothing on the knees, so no wraps, no sleeves, no nothing. So 470 raw, like real raw is a pretty solid lift too. So you got anything for the big man on his bench here?
I mean, if you're pushing, 460, 465, something like that.
Yep.
I mean, it's doing something right.
Yep.
It's that's a lot of weight for a bench. I maybe figuring out more to do with the rest of his body other than, the chest and arms and playing around with maybe some different foot positioning, getting a little more tight, a little more intra-abdominal pressure, raising that chest up a little more, decreasing the distance.
But if we watch the beginning, we can see his feet move around a bit. So still moving around right there, even when the bar is coming down to his chest. So
yeah, and, a lot of that you get inefficiencies, and it's a waste of energy. But the days of kind of thinking in terms of the standard IPF heavy arch, wide grip bench press as like the gold standard, when you have guys like Julius Maddox that are pressing almost 800 pounds with a relatively close grip and kind of a flattened out arch, nothing too crazy there. It all really comes down to whatever works for you, whatever you could push the most weight with. So I mean, other than just playing around maybe with some foot positioning, maybe messing around with maybe some changes to how he arches, how he sets his back in, but it's a lot of weight, so I'm not going to argue with him too much.
That was basically our feedback too, was, hey, look, this guy benches 100 pounds more than I do. So, take it with a grain of salt. And we said basically the same thing, hey, relatively flat, feet are moving a bit, we can potentially get a little bit more tension throughout if we get those feet set and push you into the bench, as opposed
Yeah.
to just kind of turning the bench into an only upper body exercise.
Right.
But really hard to argue with him smashing that lift. So
I will say on like, because his grip is so close, you get that little bit of that elbow dip towards his head in the bottom.
mhm.
You know, that shifts a lot of weight, a lot of pressure to the shoulders. I think it
Yep.
makes coming out of the bottom a little tougher,
Yep.
easier to misgroove, in over your face.
Yep.
But other than that, maybe go a little bit wider. That would take care of that, but
Yep.
whatever works,
Yep. All right, man. So let's take a look at. So here's your prize. This is what he's taken home. Let's tell the people what we got going on here.
So the picture, well, the description says arc with UDA handles. The picture is not that. It is the arc, but it has what looks like 12-inch handles on it, which you can do. UDA handles are the handles that come with the dip attachment. They're 18 inches of usable length. You have the arc that's about 7 inches wide, plus the two handles. So at 18 inches a piece, 36. So you end up with like a 41-inch wide, 35 millimeter stainless knurled lat pull down bar. Currently, I make those in 5 degree, which is in the picture there. That's down, like your standard lat pull down angle. Maybe a little bit less than that. I think a lot of them are actually more like 10 degrees, but I don't really like that. I do them in 0 degree, which is just straight, and then -5, which is like the Larry Scott version, which is pointed up, with the idea of, you get those pinkies tilted up.
That
You kind of
stretch on
go
the
a little
lats.
bit, yeah, you go a little bit into like internal rotation. So when you're coming up, you're already kind of stretched. The lat's already stretched. So a lot of people like that one. I think I sell the most of the -5s. So whoever, he's going to be able to pick whatever angle he wants, whatever color. And you have a really high quality lat pull down bar for, we sell that bracket now for $85 for the standard solid colors, 125 for clear grind. This version might go extinct. I don't know if I'll keep making them or not once Rogue takes those over and they're officially out. Theirs is a little bit different. These ones utilize the knobs that you get with the dip attachment and the handles. All the handles we ship out go with knobs.
Yep.
Where their version has built-in female threads that the handles just screw into. Not really advantages or disadvantages other than you don't have to mess with the nuts to screw the handles in.
Yep.
But that's pretty much what it is.
Yep.
And you got the two. Go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the things I know that popped out to me instantly when I got mine was the fact that you can see it a little bit on the picture. There's 3 different carabiner holes. So you can use a single carabiner hook in the center, or if you got a dual stack of some kind, you got the 2 off to the side, which is something that like every other cable attachment doesn't think of. You typically need a adapter of some kind, or something wild. One of the benefits always of having somebody who actually lifts at home and can think through that stuff, come up with solutions that make sense. So
yeah, the timing was kind of good too, because you had a bunch of companies coming out with cross trainers. So that need for something to hook up to 2 cables without like a banana bar or spreader or something like that was definitely there. And one of the big issues with making anything in the US, which this is totally made in the US, whether it's from us or Rogue. Rogue version isn't available yet, but the steel is US sourced, the stainless is US sourced. It's made here. the handles are turned on American machines. You know, not all of my products have 100% American components in them. I would say the only thing that probably isn't US sourced would be the plastic that we use in the 3D printers for the knobs and the washers. So that's, it's really hard to get 100% anything, but one of the big issues with doing that is cost. And if you were to make a solid 35 millimeter lat pull down bar that was just your typical fixed or spinning lat pull down bar with a single connection like you see everywhere, you'd be paying $300-400 for it. And I think those do exist. I'm sure some companies make them. I've seen hollow ones that go for almost that much.
Yeah.
In stainless.
Pretty sure, does TK make one?
I think I saw something about him doing like a Larry Scott bar or something like that. Maybe JD, I don't know.
I know he's got the Larry Scott tricep bar, so I'm pretty sure he's got his, I think he calls it a true wing lat bar or something like that. And I mean, his stuff is like $500-600. So
yeah, which I mean, when you got, I think he's making pretty much everything himself too.
Oh yeah,
so,
100%.
That's a big factor that not a lot of people are thinking about. That you got 1 and 2 man shops, and they're investing a crazy amount of personal time to the point where most of us are making less than minimum wage by the time it's all said and done. If you factor in our time 100%. But that was one of the reasons why I came up with this design to use the handles for our dip attachment, because the dip attachment's expensive. You're going to be paying upwards of $400+ for the dip attachment. But if you have the arc for less than $100, you get the lat pull down bar, but you have the handles already. Typically, not always, but usually people buying it have the dip attachment, or they have the custom handles of whatever length, and you could put any length in them. So it's figuring out creative ways to reduce prices and increase perceived value without just making the materials more premium or some other angle to come at it that justifies the price. Because it's really expensive to make things here. So
so let's take that and pivot into, can you tell the people, here real quick, if you're in the chat, say hi, let us know you're there. Chris, tell people who you are, why you're here, tell us about Mutant Metals, all that good stuff.
My name's
while
Chris.
You do that, I'm going to eat an apricot.
Okay. I started the business in November 2020, pretty much right in the middle of the pandemic. And it wasn't really anything that I planned. At the time, I was working in a mill running metallurgical equipment, was running induction furnaces, doing some welding, things like that. And my wife was going through a lot of medical issues around that time. She still is, but a lot of stuff with her foot that was making things really difficult. She was working at the time, and she had to stop, so it was just me working. Was working a ton of hours, and this isn't really what led me into the decision of starting the business, but it was something that pushed me over the edge. That the business getting started was kind of happenstance. I was kind of making equipment for myself, mostly for my home gym, just some random handles and stuff. You were one of the real early people to reach out to have me make them something, I think we made like a wrist roller and some handles. You might have been the first set of actual like rack handles I made. Those 5/8 pull pin handles.
I still have those. I still have the bench stock you made me.
Yeah.
And and I get asked all the time about the wrist roller. I tell people, sorry.
Yeah. Don't make it anymore. But basically what happened was I was on Facebook one day. I was talking to a guy about buying an Elite safety squat bar, and he wasn't. He saw some stuff in the background. I was like, is that stuff for sale or whatever? And we just got to talking, and I told him I made some equipment for my home gym, and he asked me to make him some stuff, which was a dip attachment. He needed a dip attachment, and he needed something to do reverse hypers on because he was doing like a West Side program. So we made him a rack attached reverse hyper, which I was way more proud of that reverse hyper attachment than I was the dip attachment. Dip attachment was real wonky. Like it wasn't anything you could sell today, like at all. It wasn't as well thought out as the hyper was. But he had 2 young kids that were playing baseball at the time, and they were just starting to get into training. And the issue is that he wanted to be able to use it, but he wanted his kids to be able to use it too. And when we're kind of trying to figure out what width to put the handles at, because I was just going to weld them in like any other dip attachment, there wasn't really any happy medium to put them at a real narrow angle in the front and real wide, and it just made it kind of weird. So I was like, well, I'll just machine handles and I'll poke a couple extra holes in it and give it another setting. The first one only had 2 settings, but it was a close and a wider one. And I posted that on my personal page, and it ended up getting picked up by Jake's page, Garage Gym Experiment. And I was at work at the time when it happened, and I come out for lunch, and I look at my phone, and I had like 30 or 40 messages asking about, are you going to make these? Can you sell me one? And I didn't really know what to do because it really wasn't a good product. It wasn't sellable the way it was. So, I kind of told everybody the same thing, basically, like, they're not for sale now, but I think I'm going to try to work on one to sell. So that night I started sketching some stuff out, and, asked a few people what they thought, got some feedback from various people. I think you were one of them. Basically added a setting, added some kind of like adding an option for rack storage that wouldn't, mar up a rack, which is the little piece of plastic you see in the front of the UDA. Stainless on the pin and on the handles. People don't want to deal with the rusty equipment. And adding another setting just to make it a little more usable for more people. And that's pretty much how that started. And I think maybe a week or 2 later, after all that happened, I ended up, going in, having a talk with my employer, and basically quitting. Made sure I could come back, but I quit and just kind of jumped in with both feet, and that's what it's been since. So
yeah, I remember our conversation was because I got measurements for you from a dude who had like a standalone dip machine in terms of the angles and stuff like that. And so because you and I have talked since way before Mutant Metals was the thing, because you were one of the early OG lifters in the GGC, along with is it Jared? Is that your buddy?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So anybody out there, that's Mutant Metals and Chris, kind of the backstory to where he came from, how he's a full running business at this point and what he's making. We'll check in on a few more of those things as we go, but let's take a look at a few more lifters from the GGC today. So we had winners come in. Let's take a look at, so Greg from Aperture Engineering is a sponsor this year as well. So he makes all kinds of 3D printed stuff for protection for various rack things. So washers and nut coverings and J-cup and spotter stuff and whatever. I think does he make ones for your snapbacks, or are you doing that yourself now?
No, that wasn't him. That was I had someone on the Discord
right?
that was that was helping me out with that. But we make them now, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Greg put up $50 to a couple of people and then $150 to one. And he's going to have a consult with that person to discuss their gym, colors, all kinds of good stuff. The one thing I like about Greg, well, there's a handful of things. Greg's a good dude. Same thing, talking to him before his business was a thing. He accidentally sent me like a motherboard piece or whatever that he whatever his day job is, came in the box, and I was like, "What is this?" And he's like, "Oh, that's on accident. You can throw it away." And I told him, I was like, "It kind of looks like a business card," because it was like the right shape and size and stuff. He goes, "That would be a cool business card." And then the next time I get an order from him, he actually did it. So he prints his logo on the little motherboard piece, and then it's evolved from there. Now he's got like socket size stuff on it, so you can actually use it like as a ruler and measure things and different stuff. And so just a unique way to use random pieces that he doesn't need anymore. But
I think Greg actually might be one of the people that has one of those wrist rollers, if I remember right.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Yeah. So I remember him asking me early on. He was like, "I've got what did he go with, like a penchant or whatever for stainless steel, right? Like he's like an addiction to it." He's like, "So I see stainless, I gotta have it." And yeah, he's. How many did you make? You made one for me, one for him, and maybe a
dozen of them.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes my list of favorite cable attachments every single time, and then I tell people, but sorry, too bad you can't get one.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at a couple of people that won. So Greg's stuff is going out to that's the wrong one. Aperture Engineering. Here we go. So we got Dan. I have Dan up there. Nope. We got Angry Gilmore. Nope. We got Stronger Willis. Nope. Oh, wrong day. That's awards day, prize day. Dana, Savagely. Nope, he won the bench. Did I not grab any of them? Please hold. Let's see. Dan, that's Jose. Maybe I didn't grab anything for winners from him. Sometimes their stuff is private and it's hard for me to actually follow through on. Oh, okay, here we go. I figured it out. So one of the winners here is we're gonna watch somebody else's because his stuff is weird. So let's take a look at who won the wall control boards. So I got that one too. So Wall Control, one of my favorite companies, makes just fantastic stuff. Their customer service is awesome. Another American-made company.
I got some of their boards too myself.
Everyone I've talked to that's like, I don't know if I want to spend because they're not even that much more expensive. But
Right.
anyone I want to spend, do I want to spend a little bit more money on the board? And then all of a sudden they get one and they go, yeah, I was an idiot for waiting that long.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's not even close. Okay, here we go. So this is Dana. Dana is taking home $200 towards wall control. We're going to watch her squat. So I think she said she had just gotten back from vacation. So she managed to sneak in some lifts for the GGC. So these aren't PRs, but she's going to get there. Solid squat for not a PR. We got her deadlift. We can see her wedging in nice and tight there. Only thing I typically don't like to see, but she didn't make it as bad as I know you and I have seen some people over the years who, so when she does that, right, the kind of arm pull thing, I know we had a guy years back, I remember you and I talked about, who like almost physically tried to row the bar off the ground. Normally I would like to see someone, like when I teach like little kids, like my daughter and stuff like that, I teach them to keep their arms nice and straight and stiff the whole time. Otherwise they tend to lose that lat tightness, and that's how you're going to pull a bicep too. So but she does pretty good there. So
it's not
lift.
bad.
Yep. She's got the weighted out bumper plates too. I think she won those last time, probably last year. So she's adding to her winnings from the GGC. Let's take a look at her bench. Anytime I see a female benching over 135, I always know they mean business. So that tends to be like the cutoff point. If you can bench the 45-pound plates and more, you've put in some work. So nice.
She looks like she'd be a good equip presser too.
Yeah, because she's coming so low.
Right.
Yep.
Has that groove.
Yep. All triceps. Right. Watch it again. Yep, she comes way down there, right? So it's not even like chest level. She's probably hitting like upper ab. So
yeah,
we watched quite a few of the equipped lifters last week, since they tend to take home some of the top athlete stuff. So we got to watch Travis blast a 2106 total or something like that, which is just stupid.
Up there.
He's
pretty good.
He's a monster, especially at 220 or whatever. So
some of the stuff these lighter lifters are doing now is insane.
It's nuts. So all right, we watched Zachary, we watched Dana. Let's take a look at Jose. So Jose, a lot of people might know him from his YouTube and various things. So it's No Way Jose. He just took home a $100 gift card from Darko. So let's take a look at his lifts. So Jose is this was mid training block. So he's going to hit some reps here, which is devastating because I think he hits like a triple or something with what most of us would like to hit a single with someday. Again, and the crazy thing with him has been watching. You know who he is, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Watching him over the last year or two, not only build a ridiculous gym, like his gym in his basement is just absurd. But
it's one of the crazier ones out there for sure.
Yeah. But on top of that is he's using it. He is putting in work. I know he's been competing in legit powerlifting stuff and just destroying stuff. So
looks good.
Yeah, easy money on the squats. Take a look at his dead. He's got the speed box there, accommodating resistance one. I don't know which one he uses, but
I'm a big fan of velocity-based training if you know how to manage it.
yep. Did you use it yourself at all when you were lifting consistently?
I didn't really have the fancy gadgets for it. The most we ever got into was like the video tracking apps. They were
Okay.
only so good, so it's really just watching videos and trying to determine what was faster than other
Sure.
reps and
Okay. That makes sense.
RPE stuff like that.
Yeah. I know Brandon and I have talked about it a little bit behind the scenes, and that the struggle, it seems like with a lot of the companies is they're not taking it far enough. So they give you this device that tracks your velocity, but they are not helping you turn that into something actionable. So
Right.
you have to know how to turn it into something actionable, because it'll tell you, 2 seconds, 1.8 milliseconds, whatever it comes up with. And you have to try and figure out, or come up with what's your 10 RPE on squat for, speed, what's your 9, what's your 8, what's your 7, what's your 6. So you build that arc, and you have to maintain that over the course of, months and years and stuff to determine what that looks like.
I think a lot of
And
that's going to change,
yeah, I'm sure.
especially
'Cause
with like devices like Voltra and
yeah,
you have all the electronic resistance devices.
yeah,
You know, the way I see it happening is that I don't really subscribe to that they're going to replace weights altogether. I think
yep,
they're really going to put a hurting on the cable market.
yep,
But the gold standard's always going to be, yeah, you could squat 500 pounds with your digital cables or whatever, but can you put a bar on your back and do it? So I don't think weights are going anywhere, but I think you're definitely going to see, um, some systems that come out that utilize AI and data tracking to um, build a profile around lifters. Because
yep,
I think even with velocity based training, it's effective, but I'm not sure that you could just write out a program that says, if you're at these velocities, this is how you should progress and give you a weight
sure,
number and all that. I think that's why you don't really see the companies that make velocity based training devices really lay out, what the data means. And they're just giving you the tools um, to kind of play with it yourself. But I think you're definitely going to see um, some AI systems pop up that kind of learn who the person is, what their lifting styles are, where
yep,
they're strong, where they're weak, and maybe do some auto adjusting in real time so that every time you're doing a set, you're working into that. Because really all strength is just it's how far can you stay in that range where things are either metabolically challenging, if you're an endurance athlete, or are they mechanically challenging for the strength athletes?
sure,
And, one of the hardest things is like you feel good one day, you know, you can work up super heavy, feel like crap another day. It's hard to adjust based off of feeling and
yeah,
RPE and RIR and all these different tools. You know, I think once you have systems around that really understand people and understand trends over long periods of time, you're going to get way more out of workouts, and it's going to shorten workouts. It's going to make them more efficient. Um, that's where I see things going, is
sure,
being a huge supplemental part of training, and
yep,
then seeing how that translates over into physical weight.
yep. Yeah, you'll have something. I know we've talked about this on Reddit a little bit, where if if you have AI that is integrated into your gym as a whole, right? Kind of like you're talking about, it would be able to monitor your warm-up sets or whatever, and then turn around and say, hey, like today's not the day, right? Today you're gonna do 3 sets of 10 and you're gonna leave 3 in the tank or something, which should be 335 for you or something. And that's enough for you to get some work done, but we're not like, you clearly need, not anything else.
Right? Yeah, I think like fatigue management, right? I think fatigue management is a big thing there, especially with lifters that decide not to take compounds. Managing fatigue over long periods of time is really valuable. And even even if you had some AI like tracking callers or something that were able to analyze bar path and stuff via like gyroscopes, and you could start seeing like, hey, your squat's usually here. You usually, you drop this fast. It's this position. It's starting to see that you're shifting in one direction more than normal or something like that. And, I think that could be really useful in preventing injuries, managing fatigue, pushing harder when you can, backing off when you should. It's going to be cool to see. I wish I was a part of it, but all I could do right now is make accessories for it.
I'm with you.
But if Voltra or somebody ever wants me in a think tank, just give me a call. I'll come in a heartbeat.
I'll let them know. Jake's in the chat, by the way. Jake, what's up? We were talking about you earlier. Chris mentioned you.
Probably wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for him. So getting ready for Home Gym Con 2 coming up here in a month. So
we're gonna I'll be there as well and see you. I think
you're actually coming this year.
I am, so it's gonna be me and the wife and daughter will all be there. So
nice.
I told a couple of people, I'm like, my wife lifts, my daughter lifts, they both like gym equipment, and we talk about it, but I'm not entirely sure that they're going to be on board with like 8 hours straight of gym equipment. So they'll probably walk.
Not going to be allowed to talk about it for a while.
Yeah, they're probably going to walk into the convention center, look around for a bit, and then someone will say something like, hey, there's a zoo across the street, and my daughter will go, oh, let's go see some animals, and that'll be the end of it. So
yeah, there's so much stuff going on there, though. I don't know. I think even for kids, just between the different competitions and people displaying their stuff, there's so much stuff to look at. And that was last year was the only year I went. I didn't get to go to the first one because I just couldn't afford to do it. But looking at the size last year was, and then this year coming up with all the people they've added, it's gonna be tough to be bored there. I mean, little kids maybe, but even if that's not like you're not crazy into gym equipment, I think it's still burn a lot of time there.
Lot of stuff to check out. I'm with you. Yeah. The next, so my newsletter goes out every 2 weeks. I just sent out one that went out today. The next one is going to be all about Home Gym Con because we'll have the spring GGC wrapped up. And so I made my initial list of vendors. I'm going to make sure I stop by. I think I did like an A tier, B tier, and C tier because I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to see literally everybody because I've Jake's got the official number. I know it was like 105 or something one of the last times I looked. But I've got you, of course, in A tier. I think you're number one. So I'll be looking for you right out the gate. And then, swing by and see whoever I can see because my goal is to, shake a hand with people who I've talked to for years and never been able to meet.
That's the best part of it, really, is just you see all these people online all the time, you talk to them all the time, engage with them, but it's obviously different once you get in front of people, able to, shake their hand, tell a lot of people thank you that supported you for a while that doesn't really come across in a message or an email. So
Yeah.
that's definitely one of the big values to that space. And I think it's important, especially between, not just manufacturers and customers, but manufacturers to other manufacturers,
Yeah.
a lot of talks get opened up. So it's definitely valuable to do.
Yep. Jake says he's sitting around 122, so that's bonkers. So
Yeah.
excited to see it. I know there's at least a handful that, Hank, even when I looked at the list, I was like, I don't even know who that is. So, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, should be good. And then so we're turning it into like a mini vacation. So we got some plans a couple of days before, and then we got plans like a week and a half after. And so we're gonna have a lot of fun. So that'll be smack dab in the middle, and all good. So I'm excited. All right, let's see. Let's take a look at somebody else that won today. See, I think I got Everett stuff. Let's see. Yep. Okay. So Everett is a GGC contributor and coach. So he writes some stuff and does a lot of the feedback for lifters as well, which is awesome. He's a strong dude himself. He took home a pair of Eclipse grips today from Porter. So, which everything I have been told, they are fantastic cable attachments. Porter and I have talked back and forth, and I just told him, I'm like, dude, I got to take a break on cable attachments. I can't. I did like 4 months of nothing but cable attachments, so I need a breath of fresh air from not that.
It's about as long as you need to hit a good portion of them. Yeah.
Barry's a squat. Man, is his hack squat is right there. You see that over in the corner?
Yeah.
Watch him squat that bar. If he goes any lower and he's bumping into, I don't even know what that thing is above his head. He's hitting that bag of something behind him too. I would be terrified that I would end up hitting weights on there. He's going to bench in there too. Look, that's crazy. He's so close.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like anything around my rack.
No. We talked about Darko earlier, and I've had people tell me, you need to get an anchor. And I've told people, I go, I really like the idea. It's not a good idea in my space. For the same reason, I go, I don't know that I could lift with a bar above my head, like racked in my rack. I think that's all I can think about. Makes sense, I think, if you lift, because I think Darko tends to lift out front of his rack. And I know a lot of people use their rack like the inside, kind of more like a half rack style. So
yeah. I think if I were to go, instead of the anchor, he makes the ones that are kind of like a gun rack off the front.
Mm-hmm.
That'd probably be what I would go with, because I'm the same way. Like, even with my rack bolted into the floor, you drop 600 pounds on something, stuff moves. So I'm sure it's perfectly safe. He has pretty deep catches on those anchors. For a bar to come out of them, probably be pretty tough. But I'm the same way. I think it would freak me out.
Yeah.
That would definitely freak me out with that hack squat next to me.
He's got stuff everywhere. That's crazy, man. Big lifts. He's a big dude too. So I don't know how he does that. I mean, even on this side close to us, he's got whatever this machine is. I can't quite tell from just that arm path, but
the bar set up for the bench is what freaks me out the most.
Because it's right behind.
Especially if you like, I don't know, got off balance or something. I just see you
Yeah,
getting folded over that thing.
yeah. I
But
guess at least
he's getting it done though.
yeah, he picked a weight that didn't crush him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a. It looks like this is a multi gym off to the side, so he just went with I'm going to load up as much as possible. Even that, look at that when he racks the bar for
I
the
mean,
bench.
these are the kind of gyms, like if I'm designing something, this is really what I'm thinking about is
Yeah,
spaces like this. So
look at the bar up in the squat position when he racks this bench. So that's exactly
oh man.
what you were talking about. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he put those plates on that bar not because he was going to lift it, but to make sure it didn't fall on him
Just to
while he
keep them there,
lifted.
yeah.
That's wild. I'm very happy that I don't have to do that. All kudos to my man there, but that's nuts. Yeah, Jake says a lot of brand new companies showing up at Home Gym Con. That's cool. Hopefully they have a good time and want to come back year after year. So let's see. Okay, man, it is 4:45. Let's see if I got any more for us before we. So we did Dana's, we did Zach's, we did Jose's. Yeah, okay, let's watch this, dudes. Raise the bar. So this is another Darko winner. So we got the squat here. So we ended up the other week, we watched him squat and we also watched him miss his next squat. So he ended up missing 405. But he got, I think this is like 390 or 395 he got. So pretty easy. What we had told him on the 405, he kind of came up, he hit that midpoint where you normally stick, and he just kind of gave up. And he was actually in the chat at the time, and we were like, dude, I think you had it. And we go, it would have sucked. Like it no,
you got
no
that video?
Yeah. Yeah, I can bring it up. So I'll find him. So,
not to broadcast his squat fail all over the place.
Yeah, no, he put
curious
up.
to see it.
He put up a bunch of them. So let's see if I can share. Yep, here we go. All right, so let's do share screen. We're gonna do Instagram. I think that's the one. Yep. Okay. So here's the one we just watched. And then we're
Very
gonna
Olympic.
watch. Yeah, very close. So then he does some warm-ups, warm up, and then so here's the 405 attempt one. We'll let that reload. We'll watch it again. Yep. That's one, and then here comes two. So two, he probably didn't have. I don't think he really got out
a lot
anywhere.
Of energy on the first one.
Yeah, but this one, I think he got high enough, at least in my experience, that he was up out of that hole. If he really committed and embraced that suck, he probably could have gotten it up. Again, it would have been terrible because those grinds on squats are not fun.
That's the one downside to high bar is once you start going forward, it's tough to manage.
Yeah,
it's tough to grind out a rep that's pushing you down like that.
Yeah, it's grinding when the bar's on you and pushing you forward, and it's heavy, and your head hurts, and everything it's like the opposite of what you should do, right? Everything tells you give up on that lift.
High bar, if your torso is not in sync with your hips, like his hips shot up, but his torso just couldn't support it. Yeah.
So let's.
Oh yeah, I know who I was just talking to him today, actually.
Yep. He's I'm pretty sure he's going to be excited about the Darko thing because he's got the Voltra. He's got it looks like the quick mount is there. But on top of that, Darko just released a new piece. I think he sent it out today. That gives a handle for the quick mount. So that should be cool. Yeah, so let's watch my list while we're here. We can watch my squat as a good example of not getting good back tightness, high bar in it, and then having to grind out and commit to finishing the rep. So
you're kind of a mix between a high and a low bar.
It's sitting right above my traps.
Mm-hmm.
It also tends to depend on what bar I'm using. So that was a squat, like an actual squat bar from Xmark. So it takes up a little bit more space on my back.
Some cool J cups you got there.
Somebody did a really good job on those things. I tell people, I had somebody ask me the other day, which it always makes me laugh. Have you ever used a Mutant Metal snapbacks? And I'm like, I want to go, have you seen any of my videos before? But yeah, I told them, I go, yeah. And I sent them the link. And then they're like, oh, okay. Like, what do you think about them? And I always just go, I don't want to bench without them. Like,
right.
I've considered going with something like a multi-purpose like rack over on the side that's got Smith and cables and various things and whatever, and then like a combo rack in the center and ditching the traditional power rack. But every time I go, but I don't want to have to self lift off without monos. Like,
right,
it's just not gonna work. So a couple of times I've done it myself in the past. Like I go, this sucks. Like it's so
yeah. I mean, I think mono, even if they're not mine, any kind of mono like that's going to be a big game changer, especially for bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just being able to get into that position before the lift starts is just such a huge advantage.
Yeah, I agree. All right, man. 453. Let's see. I got anybody else? We watched that. Yep, I got one more before we announce the prime winner for today. So Savage Lee. What did he win? Oh, here we go. Okay, this is the dude that took home the Rep Fitness prize today. So he won the Nighthawk from Rep Fitness. So that's Rep's newest bench. Pretty sure he's going to have his choice in colors and various things like that. We just got one in the garage, and it's nice. I've never owned a Rep bench before because they've never taken attachments. But now that they're adding that attachment port and coming out with a leg developer, I'm excited. So that is a slow squat, but like consistent tempo the whole way. Like he lowers that as slow as he comes back up. Whereas then the bench has a little bit of free fall. Oh, he needs new collars. That plate flew off the side.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, they all blew off to the side afterwards. That's a hard. That was the reason why I used to not recommend bumper plates to people, was because all they were these really thick, crazy things. And now they're, I think, a lot more manageable. A lot of the 45s and stuff are like what 25s used to be. So,
right.
But yeah, that's a tough one. Looks like his kid entered as well. Good deadlift there. And his daughter, PVC pipe. Oh, he got it. Count
nice.
Good work, dude. And including the kids is always a good one. So,
Mhm.
all right, let's take a look. Our last video for today is going to be our dude who is winning the Prime Mystery Prize. So, Prime, historically, they did this a couple of years ago first. And I think it was because they didn't know what they wanted to do for a prize. So they were like, hey, what if we just say, hey, it'll be a mystery? And I went, yeah, sure, let's do it. And people liked it. And so they've just continued to do that every time. Sometimes I know what they're giving away early on, and other times I don't. Today, like right now, I still don't, I'm not positive what they're going to give away. We talked about a few different options, but I think it's going to be a surprise when he's going to find out probably when I find out. So, Jonathan, get back to work, dude. You're supposed to be doing your AMA. If anybody out there in the chat wants to go bother Jonathan directly, I'll put a link to his AMA in the chat right now, because that's what he should be doing instead of bothering us. My wife was reading it earlier and having a good chuckle because Jonathan's full of piss and vinegar for everybody out there that's not aware of him. So, all right, here we go. So our winner of the Prime Mystery Prize is Steven. Oh, wow. Damn it. Come on. Wrong one. I can only share 10 things at one time. 1 second. Let's do that one again. Our winner is Steven. Okay, so he goes by Pevin Stillups. So his name is Steven Phillips. He has competed the last couple of GGCs. 1 year, I think it was spring of last year, maybe. We asked about height in the submission form because people had wanted to know some stuff. And he happened to compete. As we can see, he's not very tall. And we did some numbers around is tall, strong. And so I hadn't even seen his lifts. I didn't know he had competed. When there's like 500 plus people who submit, I don't see everything, right? And so, but I'm looking at the data, and you have kind of this cluster, and then all of a sudden he's way over here, right? Totally breaking the entire curve because he is a strong bastard, and his height just does not match. Typically, there's a correlation between height and weight, or which then means strength, right? So someone who's 6 foot, it's a little bit easier to throw on 250 plus pounds of body weight. Mass moves mass. You have all that good stuff working for you. Obviously, there's a flip to that, and some scenarios you get too tall, or you're tall and skinny, or whatever. But he totally ruined the entire curve, which was just hilarious. So, so let's watch his lifts. Monster squat right there. Pretty happy with that one. I know he was at the end of a training cycle, so he was stoked. So I'm pretty sure these are not meet PRs, but training PRs for him. So here is one we talked about. So watch as he unracks. So obviously he's got some difficulties because of the length of his arms to get the bar out of the J cup and into a good place, and then lift and then back. So he's going to hit the J cup on the lift up. And we were debating on whether it would make sense for him to have a set of monos or not, whether that would work with his arm length. So I'm curious what you might think when you watch it. So you saw he caught that right J cup on the way up. So the thought process in my head was, well, for me, those J cups or the monos are awesome. The question would be, do we think he could actually get it back to the monos?
I think you could, because he has the advantage of being able to set the mono down a little bit lower.
Okay.
So even though like on the snapbacks, the clearance between the J cup and the top of the frame isn't a lot,
Yep.
because the bar's not moving as far, you could set them a little lower than maybe somebody else could.
Yep.
And then the slight lift in the catch, I would set that closer to where he's benching at now, and then just
Yeah.
have him set a little bit lower. And then, you have a little bit more of a lift off, but you'll already be in position. So I think the trade-off's worth it in that case.
Yeah. Okay. Brandon's in the chat, by the way. He said he sounds like he needs some snapbacks. Know anyone who makes them? So
apparently a few people know.
Yeah. The original is still the original and is still the best by a wide margin. So everything else I've seen, I've gone, no, I'm good. So watch this deadlift. I like the song. I'm wondering if that's why he was laughing, because the song came on randomly. He just went, screw it. Here we go. We're here.
I just need the right beat. I don't care what it is.
Solid. Yeah, fantastic lifts from him. Like I said, I'm pretty sure those were PRs pretty much across the board from a training stance. So very, very impressed by his lifts when I saw them last year as well. And he's getting stronger.
Got to be a hell of a dot score.
Yeah. Let's see. I got the spreadsheet here. I'll try and see if I can look him up. Evan. Let's see. His dots is 492. He's got a looks like a 580 Wilks is what it comes out to, because he's in the 56 kilo group. So that was 523 total in kilos. So that's 1155 total in pounds. For a 520 squat, 295 bench, and 340 dead. So yeah, pretty impressive, my friend. So all right, man, that's our list for the day. Those are our prize winners. You want to leave the people with anything else?
I'll see everybody that's going to Home Gym Con, and they're going to show up in about a month. Yeah. And pretty much just thank you to everybody that's supported us so far. Still in the basement right now, but hopefully with some of the new stuff coming along, can move on into an official space and, get into working on some new stuff finally. That's really tough right now to do, but try to get some more ideas out there.
Awesome. I know you've got a book of them, so I'm excited. Quick shout out to Brandon. So Brandon's doing some coaching feedback for us for the GGC as well. I get copied on most of those emails, and he's taken people through. He's not only watching their videos and giving feedback, which most people type it out in an email. He's doing it like a video breakdown. So he's uploading it as an unlisted video on his YouTube account and stuff, which is awesome. So people getting free event where they can win prizes, and they get fantastic free coaching feedback from people like Brandon. I still don't understand why people don't compete, but sometimes you can't.
It's definitely worth doing, especially when you could use whatever bar you want to use. Do it however you want to do it.
Yep. So, all right. That's it for today, my friends. Everybody in the chat, thanks for chiming in. I'm going to post about our 2 winners that I haven't announced yet on Instagram here in a second. I will send out emails to all the winners. I think I'm caught up as of yesterday, so I still got to get today's emails out. Chris, thanks for joining me, dude. I'm looking forward to what's coming up for you, getting you out of the basement and letting you reclaim your lifting space would be awesome. I know you and Jared got to finally lift for the first time in quite a while, which was cool. So hopefully you can make that a regular part of your existence here again soon.
Hopefully.
Yep. And that's it. So I'll see
All right,
everybody
man.
tomorrow
Thanks for
for the
having me.
final one. Yeah. Thanks for joining. See you, everybody. Have a good night.
See ya.